Carl.
Wow, thanks, Emerald. For more on this, let's bring in what is a blockbuster interview. Former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn joins us for his first interview on the presidential election fallout. He joins us live via phone. General Flynn, how are you, sir?
Carl, I'm doing great. Make sure I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
I can definitely hear you, sir. And, just
okay.
from the many of us out there, we want to let you know that we have been, in your corner from day one. We appreciate everything you've done for this country, and you have my genuine respect. So with that, do you have any confidence in this current count of this election?
Yeah, so let me just give you kind of a couple of sound bites, if you will. But this election is about the national security, this is going forward, the national security country and whether or not we're going to have the country that we deserve. It's about economic prosperity, and it's about the saving or the protecting of our constitutional rights, especially as we are observing this outrageous election process. You just played Vice President Biden talking about how everybody has to be patient. Well, they were about to claim victory last night up until Justice Alito from the Supreme Court made the ruling in Pennsylvania. Yeah. So what I would say is you be patient, and let's all be patient here in America. The biggest counsel I could provide, Carl, is for everybody around the country needs to take a deep breath.
Right.
On the battlefield, and you know this, Carl, from your experience, fighting alongside of us in Iraq and Afghanistan, but we always have to take the harder right path, which is a tougher path, versus taking what I call the easier wrong path, which is always the wrong path. It's never the easier path is never the right path. Mm-hmm. And the easier path for the current administration would be to just give in. And we cannot give in based on what we have seen already and the evidence that has already been brought to light, particularly this mess up in Michigan with this Dominion software. That's just it's outrageous that one county, and I guess they have 47 counties that this software is in, and now come to find out it's in as many as 30 states. So
right.
So there has to be an investigation. There has to be a slowdown. Everybody has to slow down and take a deep breath because of the things that we need in this country going forward. Is we need, and the president has said this, I think, in his great statement. We have to have trust. We have to have transparency. Americans are resilient people. We can withstand the weight that we are in right now. There's going to be a lot of gnashing of teeth, obviously. This is bigger than the presidency. This is bigger than Donald Trump. This is bigger than President Donald J. Trump, than Vice President Biden. Much bigger. This is the presidency of the United States of America. It's the Constitution of the United States of America. It's the process that we have had for almost 250 years. And my last point, Carl, and I'll shut up here for a second, is pressure by the media to call this election is totally irresponsible.
Yeah. No, I could not echo your sentiments anymore, General. One of the things is you obviously ran the intelligence community. You were in the White House for a while. This is something you have seen the inner bowels of the innermost workings of D.C., of the Intelligence Committee, and dare I say deep state. So what concerns you most? And I know you're going through your own legal process right now that I don't want to touch on out of respect for that. But what concerns you most about the process you're seeing right now and how it's being played out?
Yeah, so that's a great question. What I have observed in my time in Washington, D.C., and frankly, it really wasn't that long. I wasn't in Washington, D.C. that many years as a general officer, as a political person, obviously. But I would tell you that what I know and what I have seen are the deep-seated and the deep levels of corruption in our government. And it's sad and it's heartbreaking, but I have seen that. I have observed it. I know of it. And we are seeing the American public, they saw it over the last 4 years with the whole Russia, the impeachment, all the things that we know about. And what the American people are seeing is that we have a problem in Washington, D.C., and Washington, D.C. is not going to fix the problem.
Right.
The problem will only be fixed. It will only be fixed by an awake America of patriots that we have seen around the country. The media I always said that the two biggest problems in the United States are Hollywood and New York City because nobody pays any attention to the quote unquote flyover patriots that exist around the country.
Right.
These people have woken up, and we must now get this process right.
Yeah.
If we do not get this process right, then we're not going to have a country.
I completely agree, sir. And, I got into a disagreement with one of my friends the other day who happens to be on the other side of the political spectrum. And they said, I don't know why you're so concerned about this. I said, I went overseas for 9 years for this country, for our rights. And I've seen elections in countries that don't have the same privileges we have. And, sir, dare I say that if we allow to succumb to questionable elections, do we have a country left?
Yeah. So I was involved directly in the elections in Iraq. Remember, for the listeners, your viewers, they will remember the pictures of the people with the blue fingerprints. They went and voted,
Yep.
right? And it was a big deal. So I was directly involved in that, and I was directly, even more so, involved in the elections in Afghanistan. We were proud, the American military and the international community in Afghanistan, we were proud of the way we ran a free and fair election process in two countries while we were in combat. And
right.
and I can sit here today and tell you and your viewers that was a point of pride certainly for us who were responsible for running those elections. And they were not without challenges, but they were free and fair. And the people of those countries felt very upbeat about what happened. And so why can't we do that here in this country? And I won't rehash all the things that other commentators have said about, why is Florida, which has 2 time zones, lots of people able to get their stuff knocked out by 10 o'clock at night, and you don't have North Carolina, Georgia. I mean, all of the stuff that we're seeing unfolding. What I think is happening is there is an unraveling, and my belief is that the technical side of this election, so the electronic voting is there's probably some problems there, and they're going to find those out. Michigan is one of the examples.
Yep.
And I think that what happened was when the votes didn't get to the numbers that they needed, now we come in with the mail-in ballots. And I strongly believe that they are going to find mail-in ballot problems like we already have seen that were after the fact to get to the numbers to achieve a victory. That's what we don't need. I pray that I'm wrong. But that's my gut following a lot of information and a lot of insight and a lot of the things going on and from some very smart people who watch this stuff all the time, who aren't necessarily one of the big political pundits on TV who come on and they don't really know anything.
Right.
I'll go back to the beginning, Carl, and I'll stop. This is about our national security. This is about our economic prosperity. And this is about our constitutional rights. If we don't get this election right, we lose in all 3 of those cases.
No, I completely agree, sir. And I remember some of those elections over in Iraq where people under threat of death in some cases turned out to vote in 90% margins. And here in America, 60, 70, maybe 80% turnout here. It's shocking that the rights we have, that we, A, aren't being honored with, and B, are grossly overlooked. Now, I want to go into something. Your lawyer, Sidney Powell, has been involved with this legal effort. Can you talk a little bit about her involvement with that at all, and how that maybe helps or hurts your case?
Well, I think that here's how I would just state it. I believe that every American that's out there that feels like they have an ability to help the country overcome what is clearly a problematic presidential election, they need to step up. And even in my case, where I am still sort of in limbo, waiting on a final decision, which I think we'll get. Any American that has an ability to be able to help, they need to step up and help instead of back there wringing their hands and gnashing their teeth and saying, well, they should do this, they should do that. Step up, America, and step up in a big way, especially if you have an ability to help at your local level or your state level or certainly the national level. And there's plenty of places to call, and there's plenty of representatives out there now who are in place and are going to be in place that would ask for that kind of help. So in the case of what I think Sydney's involved in, she's one of those great patriots who is stepping up for the country in a time of need.
Yeah, no, we've had her on this program, and she is a remarkable person. And one of the things, too, is we've seen this. I mean, like the left has refused to accept that Trump won the presidency in 2016, and they fought against members of his cabinet. They fought against you. They fought against him for 4 years. And now we're, going through this whole thing, and the left is saying, well, let's just accept the results of the election. When Trump is winning a state by 150, 200, 300,000 votes, they're like, well, we can't call it yet. But then when Joe Biden comes up by 2,000, 3,000 with questionable voting machines, they're like, we need to call it now. Joe Biden's the president. Accept it, move on. How are we supposed to bring this back together as a country if we can't even trust that?
Yeah, with no proof, we beat this president over his head and shoulders about Russia interference in our elections, and come to find out there's zero proof of that. And now all of a sudden we see egregious levels of behavior and corruption in some states. And for these people in these states, they have to be embarrassed. And so now nobody wants to see if we have election interference. I mean, give me a break. So what everybody needs to do is take a deep breath. We need to let this process play out. I strongly believe that that President Trump won on Tuesday night, the night of the election. I mean, we'll see what the outcome is. Maybe I'm wrong. But the process has to play out. It has to play out now. Every legal vote must be counted, and I agree with that. But it has to be counted in the appropriate manner, under the transparency of observers. With a legal process in place, and hopefully election personnel who are unbiased, and they only want to protect the integrity of our election process. If we don't have that, again, I will say that we do not have a country, and we right now we're at risk. This is going to place this country at risk if we get this wrong.
Yeah. Well, General Flynn, out of respect for your time, we appreciate you joining us, sir. You're a hero and a patriot. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Carl. Appreciate it.
All right, folks. There you have it from the man himself.